And we're live. Good evening. And for my very special guest today, good morning.
Good morning, Jeff.
And then for those of you night owls in Europe and Africa, God bless you for popping on right now. I don't know why you're awake. You shouldn't be awake, but I'm glad you are. Glad you're here. And for those of you on the West Coast of the United States at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I am so glad you decided to slack off of work on this Thursday. Blow off your responsibilities, tell your clients to take a walk, tell your boss to take a longer walk, and join us today for this awesome conversation. Welcome to another episode of 40 Going on 4, the show where we try to find that inner child that we lost a long time ago. Probably at the amusement park. That's usually where we lose the kids. I mean, let's be honest about it. Probably got together, had the kid with us, saw the roller coaster, said, that'll be fun. Got on the roller coaster, got sick, yacked on the person next to us. Guilty. And then, the kid's nowhere to be found anymore. So, we're looking around for the kid. The kid's nowhere. So we go to the amusement park security. They're no help. It's a couple of 16-year-olds getting high. They don't know what's going on. And then decades and decades and decades accumulate, and we still can't find that inner child. And then one day we wake up and we're 40, 45, 50, 55, 65, and we have no idea where that child is, but we're desperate to get them back. I have an incredible guest today who will help us back on that road. Lisa Marree is here from the incredible land of Queensland, Australia.
Yes.
Lisa, take it away.
Hello. Thank you so much. What a great introduction. And I think I purposefully lost myself in an amusement park, just so you can keep playing on those rides a little bit longer. Yep. And yes, we are in Tomorrowland. It's Friday morning here. And it's such a weird concept, isn't it? So look at all those beautiful people on. So good morning to my beautiful friends. Oh gosh, going on 40. How exciting. That is just a brilliant concept, because yes, people do. I think they get scared about aging. Whereas me, I'm so excited about it because I've crossed the half century. Mm-hmm. I turned 54 this year. And the beautiful thing about the first 50 years, they were really crappy, seriously bad. Just to name a few, I was an abused child, took all that into my adulthood. So I decided to have a couple of abusive marriages just to keep the cycle going. The second one left me facing bankruptcy with $500,000 debt, and I was homeless for a while. During all that phase, by the time I was 33, I'd been chopped up by surgery about 15, 16 times. There's been a total of 18 times now. I was chronically ill. I was lower limb disabled through an injury in the army. And so, it's been a long road. And through all of that, I had to find the will to keep going. And I figured that the first 50 years, because I'm all about wellness, like mind, body, and soul, like the whole deal, because you just can't work on something and neglect the others, because you still have a broken vehicle.
You do.
And so as I was getting closer to 50, I thought, right, you got to change some stuff, Lisa, because I still had a lot of things that I knew I hadn't let go of, because I was very successful in a business that and we discussed this before, which we'll actually talk about this.
Yes.
Even though we're not going to talk about business.
Mm-hmm. But you got to tell them, by the way, Lisa Marree said she built a 6-figure business, and unlike LinkedIn influencers, most of them anyway, Lisa Marree actually built a 6-figure business. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. And that was actually, we were talking about if the internet disappeared tomorrow, and I built that business going door to door. So I was literally knock, knock, knock. But that's another topic. So approaching 50, I was successful, but totally unfulfilled. They are two very different worlds. Mm-hmm. And I want to know how many people are successful or have some level of success, but it's not enough. they are just empty, and that is a miserable place to live.
Yeah.
And so what I decided, and it's in those moments of decision that our destiny is formed, that I'm going to drop a lot of quotes, by the way.
I love that. I love that. I want that on a bumper sticker, like
uh,
today.
I'll have
Yeah.
to give credit to that to Tony Robbins. Um, and so and this was really during some very dark times when I was having my hip replacement at the age of 47. Things didn't go so well for surgery, and because I'd been, my leg hadn't worked for 30 years, I had to learn how to walk again, and so I was in rehab ward, and of course, when you have joint replacement, you don't normally see a 47-year-old. Like, you've got the 70-year-olds, the 80-year-olds, and like I was sort of like the highlight of the ward, because I would visit the other residents and just go and sit down and chat with them and ask them about their life, and you would just see them light up as they went down memory lane. It was such a beautiful thing. But in my own darkness, lying there day after day after day after day, I had to go deep within, and I just said, Lisa, this isn't good enough. You are not living happy. You are not fulfilled. And you know what you have to let go of to get there. And so it was during that process that I made the decision that when I was going to walk out of there, because I had a new leg, that I was going to walk out a very different person. And by the time I turned 50, I was so excited, because I had, completely rehabilitated. I had made some very big decisions on a personal level about my relationship, about my business, and all of those things, that I reinvented myself again. That the next 50 plus years are going to be freaking awesome, because age is just a number.
Yeah.
And I'm planning on kicking until about 120, but you need to be healthy and you need to be unmedicated the most part to be able to do that with any quality of life.
Doesn't include scotch, right? I'm just saying, like, we're just so we're like totally clear. Like the good stuff. Like Glenlivet, 18
even
years.
even though it's 8 o'clock, you don't know what's in this cup.
Respect. I love
Yeah.
Aussies.
Oh, no, I love a Shiraz, and I love a great single malt whiskey.
You do have fantastic wine in your part of the world, I must say.
Yes,
I am a
we
fan.
do. Yes, it's extraordinary. And I had a goal of going to the wineries. We could talk about this a little bit later on, but I didn't visit the wineries exactly how I wanted. I was doing an 860 kilometer. I don't know how many miles that is. Maybe about
3 or
600
4.
miles. Oh,
No.
who knows? But it was a charity bike ride through in 6 days. So I did that with my busted leg. I'm hobbling around on a walking stick when I get off the bike. So I did that charity ride through the wineries, and it was just, damn, I can't even stop for a drink.
They're trying to tempt you, aren't they? Like, all right, this is going to be a gag reel at this point. You're going to stop off at the wineries. You're going to have a couple of tastings. And then by about, kilometer marker 50, you're toast. That's it. Falling off the bike, you're stacking up. It's like a 20 bike pile up, and we're all just having a good laugh. But you raise the money for charity, so everyone's a winner.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Hopefully, it's the Adelaide Hills, so you just roll all the way down.
Yep. That's it. Oh, that's an incredible story. Now, at what point? Now, you were talking about when you were in there, obviously your transformation into the bionic woman, you're getting the new parts, and you're coming out there, you got all the synthetics, but like, I'm ready to roll. It's like time for 50 more glorious years. At what point did that start becoming real to you? At what point did that come from your mind into a everyday kinetic reality where you're interacting with people, you're seeing things, and you're internalizing it?
Do you mean once I got out of the hospital?
Yeah, once you got out, at what point did that idea of the best years of my life are starting now, when did that start becoming very real to you?
Um, it was still taking off layers. Like there's a lot.
Mm.
And I ain't done yet, I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't, I'm a student of life. I don't believe we are ever done. We can only just keep stepping higher and higher into our greatness, because it's all there, and we just have to allow ourselves. And that's the biggest thing, is that if you can sort of imagine my identity, even on stage, and because I was a speaker in leadership development, and so here's this young chick on a walking stick, and people would be really inspired, because I would tell a little bit of my story, and so my identity was actually attached to that disabled person, and so it was a real interesting morph into. I had to let that, because I was on probably walking aids for at least 18 months post hip replacement. It was a pretty slow recovery. And it was almost like I'm actually scared to let that go, because I didn't know what it was like to walk without it. And, people didn't know Lisa without it either. And so it was a really interesting. I had to get the confidence to be able to trust the process, that this new version of me was going to be just as inspiring and, I'll toot my own horn, powerful, because I believe that to be able to get to where I it was through courage and resilience and bravery to just not top myself, end it all. I considered that as a teenager, but I moved past that. And so it was just day by day belief system, but the rituals, the personal rituals that I have, that I've maintained now for literally 30 odd years, is part of my building block process of continuing to reinvent the new me every single day. That one of my beautiful mentors said, just wake up today and do a little bit better than yesterday. And that's a great way to live. Don't try and go from zero to hero, because you'll fail in your head even before you start. So it's like, I'm starting another diet. This one's going to fail too. So
It's a really good point. It's a really good point. I think I'm really glad you said that, Lisa, because we get caught up a lot in this influencer culture, on LinkedIn, Instagram, everywhere else, TikTok, farmersonly.com, wherever. This idea
I've not heard of that.
Oh, that's a special one. Oh, we got a lot of great ones here. This idea of zero to hero instantaneously seems to be part of the zeitgeist, and it's not realistic, and yet we see it. I'm not sure if we even see it in real life, but we see it spoken as if it's happening. And we internalize, well, why aren't I doing that? Why haven't I become that instantaneous sensation, not only in terms of getting, 50,000, 100,000 followers, but why haven't I lost the 20 pounds in 2 weeks like I planned on doing? And why don't I have every great new habit that I planned on doing? And why aren't I kind to everybody immediately? And why don't I patch up the relationship with my brother? Why don't I do any of these things? And then they see the entirety of what they've not done, because they think they're supposed to be the hero, and say, well, there it is. I failed. And there it is. So what do you do when you have those moments where that narrative starts to kind of pile up? And I know you have mechanisms now that you may not have had in the past to deal with that. But a lot of people I know who are watching, they have that voice, that I'm a failure voice, and it's just screaming at them. Failure, like, shut up. No, I'm not done. Failure, failure, failure. Lisa, what do you do when that voice shows up to you?
Yeah, well, it doesn't.
Okay. Even better. Okay.
Of course, there is self-judgment to the point of reflection. That's a really healthy self-critiquing, but not comparing it to somebody who hasn't lived your life, who doesn't have the same skill set as you. Like there's no two individuals are the same, and yet we are consumed by all day long, and just comparing ourselves. So that's actually hardwired into your nervous system. And as long as you keep feeding that thing, you're going to keep having that conversation. And most people don't know, but we have about 70,000 thoughts a day. And most of them are on an unconscious level. But that mind chatter, that conversation, that your mind is always listening. So, all of this inner dialogue that we're having is you're listening to that, and you're just confirming what you don't like.
Yep.
And so when everything is not enough, it's going to remain not enough. And so what was the question?
I don't know. Got me. No, it's
what do I do to myself and the judgment?
Yeah, when that critic shows up, that comparison critic shows up, I haven't done enough, or why aren't I doing this based on my expectations?
And that's literally the whole process, is that it's that is hardwired into your nervous system. Your body never forgets. And so that's literally why I'm all about reinvention, is that you have to, Einstein said, you cannot solve your problems with the same thinking that got you into those problems.
Yep.
Because it's just going to stay the same. Jim Rohn, for things to change, you have to change. For things to get better, you have to get better. I was so lucky. I was personally mentored by Mr. Jim Rohn for about 5 years before he passed. And, that man helped me change my life. He didn't change my life. His philosophies helped me change my life, because no one else is going to do that for me. And so taking responsibility is the first, getting back to your question, taking responsibility for your life, exactly where you are right now, is the first gift you can give yourself. And you're going to say, well, that person did that to me. My upbringing did that to me. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
But it's what can you do with it now? Because you can change in an instant by a decision. Remember, the moments of decision is where our destiny is crafted. And so it's just that shift. And we all know, and you will have experienced this as well, Jeff. And it was that driving along on that 1,000-mile road, and you had this download.
Oh, yeah.
It was a conversation beforehand.
Yep.
It was a decision. And once we make a decision, that there's energy in that. And so what happens is that it's almost like a magnet, and we're drawn to getting into that vortex and finding out more and more and more and more and more. But until you make a decision about, yes, you're going to get healthy, like stop focusing on weight loss. That'll just keep you stuck and do your head in.
Oh, yeah.
If you focus on health, you're going to take on healthy habits. If you focus on weight loss, you're just going to keep doing the same old crap that you did last time that failed. And your mindset's going to go along with it. So it's in those, okay, what have I got to do next? What's the next best step that I can take to, you've got all that stuff. Just shut up. I'm going to take a break from you for 5 minutes. And that's making those boundaries with yourself.
Absolutely. It's a great comment here from Lori. And I really think this speaks to this exact point, right? And I think a lot of people really endure this on a daily basis on every platform. So I don't want to single out LinkedIn, or they're all like this. The minute you're scrolling, there's a comparison that kicks in, and there's death by 1,000 comparison cuts.
Yes.
All kinds of different comparisons. So if you are feeling self-conscious about your financial situation, you're going to see somebody who is killing it. You're like, why aren't I killing it? If you have relationship strife, you're going to see somebody in I put this in quotations, seemingly happy relationship. And you're going to wonder, what the hell is wrong with me? And down the list we go. Then you realize there's, like you said, there's 2 branches you can go off of. And you can make a decision to get sucked into the vortex of what their stories are versus what your story ought to be. And I say, forget the oughts, you are. Or make the decision of, I'm just going to write my own story. And I don't care what they're doing. I don't care what any of them are doing. I have the author's pen right now. And I am the main character. I'm just going to start writing. I'm going to start scribbling. That's it. It's as simple as that.
And I journal every day.
Yeah,
Yes, Jen, exactly. Positive magnetism. I
absolutely.
do journal every day. My goals are huge, like massive.
Why don't you
Jen,
share them?
say
What are
that
your
again.
goals? I'm putting you on the hot seat. What are your goals?
Oh,
How are you gonna shake up this rock?
well, um, as a number of people know that I love getting on other people's stages. But one of my big goals is to be one of the top 10 female influencers in the world of helping people change their life. That's a big one, like as probably as big as what, because I went from, as I said, I was successful but unfulfilled, and I was driven on angry desire. Like, you can achieve a lot on angry desire, but it's
Mm-hmm.
like walking in cement shoes.
Yep.
Like, you've got to drag yourself and hustle and grind, and because the energy within you is fiery, but it's very negative, so it's very toxic, and it's also very repelling.
Mm-hmm.
So as you're trying to move forward, you're pushing things the way that you want further and further. and
Yes.
and there was a moment in my life, which was in a leadership development uh, conference in Singapore, that my life changed in an instant, and I went from angry desire into inspired desire. And at that moment, because Jim was always talking about um, leave a legacy, and that was his mission, is to, his mentor, Mr. Earl Schulf, said, I want to teach you all of this stuff, but one of your responsibilities is to pay that forward. And so I when I was oh, thank you, Jenny, you're so beautiful.
She knows.
Thank you.
She knows.
um, I was very blessed to be invited to be in her beautiful Lead with Soul magazine. So, by the way, doing a plug out there, get her magazine, check her out. And when I was drowning in my own stuff, but I just had this straw outside of the quicksand that
Mm-hmm.
kept me going. It was just how can I be of service to people? Like, how can I give to others when I can't even give to myself? And when you're drowning in a 500K debt, it was like the repayments were about 10,000 a month. And I didn't have that.
It's a big check to cut every month.
I had to make that happen. So through door knocking,
Oh yeah.
hello, will you
Yep.
help me? I can help you.
Well, door to
Here I
door
am.
sales is great. It's like, listen, buy my stuff, or just so happens
Well,
I know where you live.
remember, I was on a walking stick, so that was actually almost a good. People may have felt sorry for me to start with. So there's always a fun side to stuff, isn't
There's
there?
always an angle.
So yeah, I threw the walking stick out when I got home. And I said, yeah, I got that one done. I think they did. There's a sitcom like that or something, isn't there?
It's in production right now, and you are the main star. This has definitely happened.
That's funny. No, it was real. Trust me. I've got the scars. I'll show you. No, not on camera. So
Anything goes on this show. Help yourself. So.
no. But I tell you what, I may actually get banned from LinkedIn forever because it's a
Yeah,
hip
you and me
replacement,
both.
buddy.
I'm always walking on that razor's edge. So
Let's
what's
change
one
the
little wind
subject.
gust?
These are my shoes. So, it's about always being happy and making sure I got my slippers on. I working from home, I wear them all day, isn't that so? I look down and I smile. So it was, and the other thing is I was exposed to metaphysics and meditation and Tai Chi when I was 14. So that really, for me, learning a little bit about the Buddhist philosophy as well, is that it was all about, you know, self, and this concept of self, and you have to actually, and life is suffering, and I'm thinking, yeah, I got that part,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
you know, you've got to be a servant to other people, and I'm thinking, no, I've got to look after me.
Yep.
That is how people live unconsciously. And so when I flipped from that angry desire into inspired desire, it was like whoosh.
Mhm.
Now I get it. I can help change the world. I have to leave a legacy. I want to change people's lives so future generations don't suffer. That was literally what was going through my head. And so I don't know how we got onto this topic, but it was Jim Rohn, Leave a Legacy. But hey, we're here.
I love it. And I want to talk more about that legacy idea. And this is something a lot of people in midlife really wrestle with.
Mm,
And this idea of legacy as, I have to have my name on this building, or I have to be known as somebody who did this. And
yeah,
I feel like a lot of people get stuck in the mud on this versus an energetic legacy like you're talking about,
yeah,
where I want my legacy to be the deeds that I've done in this world, the energy that I've put out there, which has a knock-on effect generation upon generation upon generation. So why do you think people get hung up on this legacy idea at midlife? Where do you think this comes from?
it's more than ever now, because for all the people who are trying to do an online business, like the world of online coaching has just, like, it's a mega trend. It's one of the fastest growing industries in the world, thanks to 2020. And of course, we got a lot of people who have been in a job their whole life. And now all of a sudden, a small business owner, and they have no business skills, no business knowledge. That's a huge learning curve. Like, I went from a white lab coat looking down a microscope into knocking on doors trying to get a penny. And it was, and that's correct. A legacy is who you are being in every moment, Alina. So that one of the things that especially my partner and I, because, we were both quite badly abused growing up. And we've got his whiteboard here. Like, he's the analytical guy, his brain, I'm sure, is multi-spectrum. We're talking cheese, but it works really well. Fire and ice, as you said.
Perfect.
So we've got a podcast up there of just an idea. Not that we're going to do that at the moment, because it requires a lot of energy to really add value to the marketplace. And that was what Jim was all about, is you get paid for the value that you add to the marketplace. And it just came to me, it was breaking the cycle. And so this is a long way to answer your question, is there's an expectation as we grow up that we should be significant and have achieved all of these things. Well, if you're living your full potential, that is true. But if you're not, you won't. It's as black and white as that. But the whole legacy concept is now online. Find your purpose and leave a legacy. And people are hearing that. Once again, they're going, oh, look at that person. What's my purpose? I don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know what their purpose is. A lot of that is because they don't go still enough to turn the volume down and actually listen to their inner intuition, which is their true self. But what the biggest legacy you can do for yourself and your family is to be the best role model in all areas of life, and not cast your expectations and your belief systems onto your children, because unfortunately a lot of our own belief systems are pretty screwed up because of that generational cycle of what our parents went through, what their parents went through, blah, 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 blah. And so that's part of our inner turmoil, our inner fight, is that we're wired by our parents and their parents and their parents' belief systems. And that's not us.
No.
And so we've got this inner war going on of, I want to live my life this way, but this is who I am. Well, it's not. It's who you are currently, but who you want to be, and it can happen. You just got to work for it.
Yeah.
But I think by midlife, we have this, and once again, it's just It's the expectation. Who made those expectations?
It's incredible. I mean, you think about that. Think about tribes that have been uncontacted in the Amazon.
Yeah.
Ask somebody in that tribe if they care about having their name on a building. First of all, they don't know what a building is. That helps. But assuming they did, all right, that tree over there, do you want your name carved on that tree? Why would they care? Why does that matter? They're living presently in every single moment. I'm not saying we should return to a pre-industrialization civilization, although some people like that. And good bless you. That's great. But the core of how people live in their most natural state is something we all had at one time in our lives. And then the idea of legacy gets implanted into us. We didn't come up with it independently. That's the most interesting thing about it. We didn't come up with any of our belief systems independently. And yet we adopt them as gospel, all of them.
Yes.
And we live according to that which has been implanted. It's incredible. It's like programming.
Have you been to the Amazon? Is that an experience that you had of using that example?
I have not been in the Amazon. A good friend of mine actually spent a lot of time down there.
Yeah.
And he came back and he gave me the whole rundown. And
Yes.
he only saw the tribes from a distance. So they had like very clear orders to not actually land and interact with them because
Yes.
it was not going to end well. But
Yes.
he was so fascinated just taking them in from afar and satellite imagery, and said
Yes.
they're essentially living as, and I don't want to say this patronizingly, not as children per se, but as inner children.
Yes. Yes.
You know,
of course, I've had a life experience of living in an underdeveloped country. I lived on one of the islands of Papua New Guinea for a while.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it was a couple of months. And Jeff is the Amazon. That's so cute. So that got me distracted for a moment because something was going on in my head here, which I shall not I shall not say out loud. So they are childlike, and that was the beautiful thing. But it's a village, and what I was saying about be the best role model for yourself and your children is we have let our girls grow up with believing they can be anything, do anything, have anything that they wanted, and that level of freedom and self-expression is such a beautiful thing to allow your children to have, and because then they won't get laid down with all the crap that you basically have on you. You don't want to pass your baggage on to your children, is what I'm trying to say. And so leaving that legacy, everyone leaves it into. The question is how big it is. Yes, exactly, Lonnie. That's a great question. And so even just breaking the cycle, if there's anything that you may have got out of this conversation, it was self-reflection. If you do have children, self-reflection on how you can accept them for who they are, no matter what, like that whole no matter what, accept you for who you are, no matter what, because we're all lumpy and bumpy and got faults on us, but don't live as a fault finder.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Don't live as a fault finder. Tell that to HR. I'm just saying, to get on the horn and just break it down for them, because they need to hear that today. And
yeah, so I think midlife, and what is midlife? It was a funny thing in Australia.
Yeah.
Some of the advertising on the TV, it's all about, life insurance, moving into senior estates, and you can be classified as a senior when you hit 50. So it's like, come on, like maybe when I'm 80, I might be thinking about midlife.
Maybe.
Hey, I've already got a bionic part, so we know those bits can be replaced. Not that I abuse my body, but if I can go to the spare part shop and get a new leg, that's great.
Might as well.
I was driving to the post office yesterday, and I was we were in a built up area, so I had to stay behind the cyclist because there's rules on the road here. And the cyclist had one leg and one bionic leg. And I'm thinking, man, go you. Like, no
Awesome.
limitations. And that's the whole thing, is we put all these false, unreal, mind-created limitations on ourselves and don't let ourselves live. And Brad and I, like, I just showed you. I got Mickey Mouse shoes on. Come on. He's got Dino in the background there.
Respect.
Lighten up. Just lighten up. When you face death so many times, and I have faced death a few times, I've even had guns pointed in my face, and yeah, this is just like, well, I hope this isn't the time. I don't feel like it is, but you really appreciate every day. And that's the thing, is we don't live in a state of appreciation, and be thankful for I got a light on. I'm talking to you on the internet. I've got, I got clothes on. I've got shelter over my head. I've got water in my cup. We've got some business in Africa, and some of these people have to walk 10 miles with a bucket to get water.
Yeah.
To have water for the day for the family.
Yeah, clean water, fresh water.
And they got no shoes on. They're joyful, they're happy, they're carrying all this crap on their shoulders, their heads, and they're happy.
Yeah.
The more stuff you have, the more it weighs you down, and the more unhappy you get, because there's not enough, because you're not enough.
Never. It's noise. And they're not exposed to noise. They're not exposed to somebody saying, I'm killing it with my new business because I woke up at 4:30 a.m. and I worked out for 3 hours and I did this. And why aren't you making 10 figures? There's none of that.
Yes.
There's just presence.
It's like, let's hope we don't get eaten by a lion today. Woo!
That's it. It's just living in the now. It's just doing you. What do you got for us, Lonnie? This is great. Midlife, my ass just getting started. Yeah.
Yes.
Lonnie knows what's up. Lonnie knows the deal.
Yes. She's my gal. Got a lot of respect for Lonnie.
Oh, this is a great, every comment from Aliana is always a great comment. So I'm going to actually read this one out.
Yeah.
I go, just do or create anything. Nothing needs to happen. Everything is perfect just the way it is. Now for this place, Lisa, from this place, who do we want to be? Who do you want to be from this place?
That was beautiful. I just let that big sigh out then.
Marinate for a second, right? Yeah, just like let's just sit in that for a second. Like there it is. There it is.
I'm actually living who I want to be pretty much every day and every moment, because I'm the funny conversation somebody online we've had about mindfulness, because it's a word that is it's totally disrespected along with a few other words that are getting manifestation, and they're getting thrashed by the internet. When you truly embody that, when you respect it and understand exactly what it means, it is actually living in the present moment. And just before I jumped on, I was enjoying my cup of tea, looking at the water, because I like to be present while I'm doing things, and just watching the occasional seagull go past. And then all of a sudden, because it's a calm on the water this morning, because the sun was coming up over the water. So all of these beautiful moments that I don't want to miss. I see them every day, and I don't want to miss today, because those are the beautiful moments that when we're in a low state, we can actually bring those moments back and have a little smile on our face. But then there was a ripple in the water. It's about 50 meters to the water's edge. It's still water because we're on a river here. And what first of all, I didn't know what it was, because sometimes there's tiny little schools of bait fish that just scatter across the water. But it got to the point where I could see it was a stingray. And I'm doing the motion. See,
I'll do it with you. You will not have to be alone in stingray motions on this show. I don't leave anybody hanging out to dry. I got you.
This is living in the moment. This is what it is. And so I get to be who I want to be, but also I have the vision of who I want to become, because like I said, I'm a student of life. I'm forever growing. I'm forever evolving, and we are limitless. We are infinite possibility. And when you embrace that, when you understand that, and when you love every moment, I don't love every moment. Do I argue with my partner? Of course I do. We're we're fire and ice. Two very different souls.
Such as domestic life.
But we have a lot of common interests and a common mission and vision to make the world a better place. And so we're also growing together, and that keeps each other in check. I do, and Brad will openly admit this, that I do a lot more self work than what he does, and that could be the whole girl boy thing. I don't really know, or it could just be a Brad and Lisa thing. So it's yeah, I just want to be the best I possibly can be, because that is what life is about, is to grow into your full potential and let go of all the crap that, that was lessons. It literally was. We're born beautiful, bubbling bliss bombs of joy with an empty database. We've come in, although we're already, our nervous system is whatever our mother experienced. And so if she was living in a traumatic environment, or substance abuse and all of that, it is actually part of us. So we can be born into a very stressful environment, but still innate by nature. Just like the body only wants to be well, they put bionic bits in and my leg healed. It's the process of we evolve. We only can get better. And so I'll stop talking.
Keep talking. I think I speak for everybody here when I say we want more of Lisa talking. I absolutely love that, because I think that really speaks to something that I think really talk about things that get lost at midlife. I think that profoundly gets lost at midlife. This idea of no matter what's happened to us, we can use it to make us better and stronger and wiser and kinder. And yet, for many of us, because of all these nervous system accumulations that it interprets as trauma and that sit on us as trauma that we've not transmutated yet, we sit inside of it and say, these things that have happened to me have destroyed me. Yes. And I'm a shell of what I once was because of it. I'm not stronger. I am much weaker than I used to be because of it. And God, what I wouldn't give to be 20 years younger before all this shit happened. Pardon my French. This idea of these things have destroyed me. They've taken my soul, and I've got nothing left. And when we reach midlife, at times we can get stuck there, and that can sit on us for the rest of our days. And then one day we look back and all we are doing is talking about how great things were when we were 19. And how incredibly tragic is that?
Yes, I'm making a note so I can circle back to a particular word. But there's an incredible saying, and I do not know, somebody else might know who made this quote, is that it's like drinking poison every day and hoping the other person dies. So, we allow what happened in the past to hurt us every single day, even if that person has passed on. Mm-hmm. Day after day after day, that person is still hurting us. That is just silly, if I can just say that. You got to do some work. But as you said, living in the past and when I'm down, I do grab for my phone, but I go for my photo gallery and look at Disneyland, and I look at me in a helicopter going over a live volcano, and I flood myself with those memories of happiness and say, yep, this is just a winter for now, because Jim Rohn always talks about the seasons of life, and we all cyclic. There's many, many personal winters that we go through, but guess what? Spring always comes.
Always. It's always there. And even if the situation itself kinetically doesn't change, your approach to it will over
Yes.
time.
Yes.
That's
So
just the nature of the beast.
that whole the event plus your response or reaction, Nelson Mandela. Yes, I think so. Um, the event plus your normal reaction equals the outcome. When
Mhm.
you just stop before that trigger moment and you reevaluate your response, the outcome can be completely different.
Oh yeah.
So that's a Jack Canfield equation, by the way,
Yeah.
out of the
Yeah, it
Success
is.
Principles.
I want some chicken soup now that you're talking about
Yeah, yeah,
oh buddy Jack.
yeah. Is look, there's a big library in there because I've had to drown those 70,000 thoughts a day with
Hmm.
so much new programming that literally that is my language. So
Yeah.
the biggest thing that people say on their deathbed is they regret they did not do XYZ when they had the opportunity.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's a great quote by Alexandra Ellis. Great quote. And that's it. That's the core of it. That's the core of it right there. It's we don't know who we are until we've walked through the fire.
Yes.
And the cool thing is we've all reached a point now where we have walked through many fires collectively and individually. And the one gift of the past 3 years, besides the fact that I get to have fun with the word pivot forever because of it, is that everybody on this planet has suffered a serious trauma. And nobody can say, I've had a charm life anymore because nobody's had a charm life after the past couple of years. There's been adversity for everybody on some level. So we've all gone through the fire. We've all been the steel, though, that's gone through the fire. We've all been the refined steel through the fire. And what's really great about that is the agency to say, because I've gone through that, now I get to choose who I want to be today.
Yes.
And I've got a hell of a story to tell.
Yes. Yeah.
You can
That's
choose today.
magical. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And a similar quote to the one Laurie put up was by Bob Marley is you don't know how strong you can be until you have to be, basically.
Yeah.
So yes, the sun is always waiting behind the clouds. Lonnie, that something, I don't know, someone made a comment about, because we had some rain here, heaven forbid, during our winter, as you saw my beautiful sunshine.
Hate to see it.
And it was about the clouds, and I said, yeah, but the sun's still shining above the clouds.
Mm-hmm.
It's all perspective.
Yeah, I love that analogy so much because the sun is always there. And I think it's the greatest analogy for, you talk about our true selves, right? Who are we really? Who are our real true selves? Our real true selves are the sun.
Yes.
And the sun's always there. And we have the cloud of expectations, and we have the cloud of trauma, and we have the cloud of programming and the cloud of experience. And then they can come together and form the cloudiest day you've ever seen. And you'll look up there and think you're living in Seattle where the sun will never come out again. But the crazy thing about Seattle, even though it is cloudy for 9 months out of the year, the summers are the most beautiful, spectacular, gorgeous works of art that nature has ever created, because all the rain has created the most lush green valleys. And then you get to immerse in it when that sun comes out. So all you out there, if you're having that Seattle winter, that 9-month slice of hell, first of all, we love you and we're here for you. And I think we both mean that genuinely, that we really got you through this. Mm-hmm. But the sun will come out, the clouds will pass. And when that happens, you're going to experience summer in a way you've never experienced it before.
Yes.
Ever.
Yes. And it's that harvest time, more Jim Rohn, that harvest time is what you just gather as many nuts as you can, stuff your little cheeks and, get that stockpile, because the winter will come again. And you can just embrace and feed off that goodness, knowing that the sun is still out there. It's just that it's a bit behind the clouds right now. And you can change your emotion in a minute, literally, from a down point. Like, that's why laughter and music, it's like sound, is so important for our body, because it's frequency, it's vibration. And when we're
Mhm.
down, we need to actually lift it up. So, you know, just dance like nobody's watching in your living room with your favorite 80s song.
Yeah,
And do some really bad moonwalking, or just
I
make
did
yourself
that.
laugh.
I'm telling you, Lisa, I danced like nobody was watching, and then I realized my webcam on, and everybody was watching, and it was a catastrophe. But I still danced, and it was a good time. I would recommend that to anybody, because at the end of the day, we come and we go in this form. And while we're here, the winters and the summers and the springs and the falls, it will just continually come and go. Unless you live in Michigan, then it's just always winter, and that's a whole different conversation. But otherwise, they just come and go. So how would you recommend somebody come home to themselves in the middle of that winter? If they're in a really dark winter right now and they really think their best days are behind them and there is no sunshine tomorrow, what would you tell somebody who's watching, who's experiencing that right now?
It's a choice. It's that simple. Like, when your back is against the wall, you've got two options. You can drown in the quicksand, or you can choose to make the best of whatever you have, even if it's nothing, been there, and just start with that. And we have the gift of millions and millions of resources online from people who are high class personal development, and just start there. Start listening to, I'll always reference back to Jim Rohn and Tony Robbins. Jim actually was Tony's first mentor and teacher. So a lot of his philosophy is just a very different voice delivering the same message. Like, it's only a few things that we need to do to lift out. I'm just reading Lonnie's quote, and how can I have more fun today than I ever thought possible?
Yeah.
And that, if you woke up and said that each day, your brain is actually, it's like a heat-seeking missile. It's going to only focus on those things. Your brain can only focus on the instruction you give it. And
Yep.
so I actually, apart from this morning, I don't look at my phone for at least 3 hours from the moment my eyes wake up in the morning, because as soon as I go down that hole, I'm now living somebody else's life, somebody else's expectations. And I don't judge what goes online, because I know 99.999% of it's fake. And that's a really sad place for that person to live as well, is to portray their life as one thing, but they're dying in sadness and misery, and behind all their makeup, they're unhappy with who they are. And so you just have to make the decision. You choose to be happy, or you choose to be sad. The beautiful thing when I was working as a medical scientist is that I was in oncology. And I brought this topic up when I was talking on Dr. Constance's show, is that I felt I was blessed to be surrounded by people who were dying, because it gave me contrast of how miserable and sick and in pain and sad that I was living. Their fate was worse than mine. They were literally fighting life and death with their cancer. And so guess what? A lot of them, when they were coming to their final days, they were bright, they were happy, they had accepted, okay, well, this life is done. And the gift that they would give their families of leaving them with the joy, the love of those last few days was incredible. And it was just like, wake up, Lisa,
Yeah. Like, what am I doing?
come on, girl.
Yeah.
Just stop it. And so it's always, someone's always going to be worse than you. And just remember, you have a choice to take that first step forward to change. You 100% responsibility for your life. 100% responsibility for your life.
Absolutely.
To make that first step forward, to make today better than what it was yesterday. Even if your circumstance, your exterior does not change, you can change your internal environment. You have that power. And that's practice. That's day after day after day of rewiring your nervous system through various ways. And there's a whole lot of ways to be able to take that breath to get you to the next step, because you only need to see the first step on the staircase.
That's it. It's one step at a time. And it's the most cliche thing, but it's the truest thing.
Yeah.
That one step at a time. I love that. You know, one thing I've tried, I wouldn't say tried, I actually applied, and I've seen it work wonders beyond my ability to even articulate, is a reframing. When I'm having a bad day or getting in one of those rabbit holes again, I think, what if I chose this? What if I chose this before I got here? Now we're getting woo-woo, and that's cool because we do that a lot on this show too. But it was kind of the main thesis behind the last book I put out here. I'm not going to give a cheap plug for it now. We're here with Lisa Marree, The Path to Perfectia. Get it on Amazon. But this
my
idea
book's coming, by the way.
If Lisa Marie's got a book, you've got to read it. I don't even care what you wrote. I'm buying it.
It's coming. Thank you.
It's going to be amazing. I'm so excited to read that. Just this idea of, what if we chose this? What if this were what we decided to do on the other side? What if this were the challenge we gave ourselves? And I heard somebody put this beautifully. Imagine you are a sprinter and you're just sprinting around the track, doing your thing. Well, eventually you're going to get bored just sprinting around the track. What if you decide to put an obstacle on the track? All right, now I want to work my legs. I want to see how high I can jump. I want to see if I can scale this thing. Well, let's say you do that. Awesome. You do that a few times. Well, I want something even more challenging. You put a higher one in. Well, guess what? You put the higher one in and you jump and it bashes you in the knee and you come on down and you're holding your knee in pain and you're cursing the obstacle. What kind of an idiot would put that on the course? Who would do that? I would have never signed up for this. Meanwhile, you're the one who put it there just to see if you could do it. And while we're cursing this moment that we're going through, while we're cursing this piece of contrast, if you will, this adversity, what if the whole thing were our idea? And imagine reframing it to that. No matter what you're going through, reframing it to, what if it were my idea to do this, just to see if I could, just see if I could beat it, not wallow in it, but beat it. I
love that. And I'm a true believer that we planned this gig before we got here. So I'm going to go full woo on you, mate.
Let's do it.
Oh, that was so Aussie, wasn't it?
I'm here for it.
Yes. And because I believe, remember, it's my belief system. It's mine. You can think of it as you wish. And I love this, is what you think of me is none of my business, you know. So,
right.
And so I believe it's an evolution, is that we've it's the whole karmic thing. And for those people new to woo, that rhymes, it just can be so far-fetched, and they're probably thinking, when you're smoking the herbs that you're eating or what. So however, 3,000 years of history doesn't lie, and I believe that there was a certain list that we had to tick off and accomplish.
Like a shopping list, like a grocery list, or
yeah, that's it. I'm going to pick those parents to do that to me, and I'm going to make sure I have that many illnesses and that injury, and you can actually, when you move through tragedy and trauma, like hitting the wall and busting your knee, when you move past that, most of the time you've actually grown and you've become a different person to be able to get over that obstacle. And that's the whole process of the lessons are actually gifts in disguise if you are determined to grow in this lifetime. And that is really what my belief system is that I did stack them up. Like there was but it's probably not done. But the beautiful thing about it is that the person I'm growing into, the person I'm becoming, is able to deal with tragedy, trauma, crisis, all of these things in such a better way, and not allowing them to consume my life, but it might be a ripple in my life to then, and it's all about being a role model, is teaching that forward, of helping people overcome the wall that they're at right at this moment, and being able to model what they do to be able to get over that wall.
That's exactly it. Once they see, they'll understand that it's possible. Those coming behind you will understand that this doesn't have to be the end. And there's just something beautiful about that. That's exactly it. It's growing pains. It's growing pains. Like, don't post that. I will start singing the growing pains theme, talk about the 80s. Nobody wants to hear that. That I can say confidently. Nobody wants.
There's a few shows
that smile.
Yeah, we did get that show down here.
Yeah, it's such a good show.
But, talking about shows, I think that's a really important thing, is that when you're miserable, put a funny movie on, put something funny on. I've probably watched the whole series of MASH like 900 times. I could sit down to MASH. I could sit down to Seinfeld. And it's all horses for courses. It might not be your cup of tea, but go find something that is going to make your belly laugh while life's falling down around your ears. And I take little notes as you're saying things, so I can circle back to a word.
Yeah.
Because I know we're at the hour point. So, when you want to, cut the show, let me know. That rhymed. I've got some little rhymes going on here.
Killing it today. Loving it.
I'm a poet and I don't know it. Woo!
Okay. Yeah, you are. What's this magic word you've been sitting on for half an hour?
No, it's only just now.
Okay.
If I can see it, I'll believe it. Wrong way round.
I can see it.
Okay. Because people think they've got to physically see this 3D thing to have it be real. Well, you see it in your head first. It's going to happen.
I have seen that in a way that absolutely blew my mind.
Please tell.
Wow. Okay, so I'll try to say this without giving any book spoilers away, but let's put it this way. There was something I wrote in the book in December that was a sequence of events that involved something getting a write-up in a newspaper, a full page write-up in a New York daily newspaper. This was written in the book, followed by it being picked up by a talk show.
Yep.
Now, fast forward a couple of months, this not working experience thing that we were talking about in the green room back there. I do not put two and two together. That didn't occur to me. I put the not working experience in motion. We have 128 people come out in New York. We have a reporter from the New York Post show up. We get a full page feature in the New York Post.
Wow.
Which then turns into a spot on the Drew Barrymore show. This was literally prophesized in the book, and it had nothing to do with the not working experience, but that actual, it's trillion to one, that exact sequence of events would happen the way it did within months of each other. And I was manifesting, I was believing this, I was writing it into characters in a book, doing a thing. And the next thing I know, I see it happening in my own life.
Yep.
And my head exploded into 10,000 pieces. And I'm still not quite sure what happened. So now as I'm beginning to write the sequel, I'm like, okay, what do I want to see happen in my life? Because it's nearly going to happen by just writing it in the damn book. So, but yeah, you got to believe it to see it. And I would not have believed that a year ago. I am 1,000,000% behind that now.
Oh, it's the
wild place.
The masterpiece is written in your mind. And it's truly incredible, because as I was climbing out of my debt recovery plan, I was aligned with a nutrition company that had annual vacation promotions. And because I didn't have money to go on holiday, I would just put up where I wanted to go. And that was the vacation announcement for that year. That happened 17 times.
That is
all over the world. So
That is
cruises,
awesome.
Vietnam, Fiji, Atlantis Resort in the Caribbean, New Caledonia, Bali, you name it. I did it, baby.
Yeah. The web that we weave for ourselves in the energetic sphere.
It's fun.
They say, God, as above, so below, as below, so above, and just how it weaves together and just shows up. And this is where belief is so important. And this is what we had as kids.
Yes.
We had this belief as kids that we could do anything, be anything, go anywhere, accomplish anything, experience anything. And then we're at 40, we're like, maybe I could do like something. I don't know. Maybe like, go there for 3 days with the kids and whatever. Like, no, you can do whatever. Like, blow your own mind and watch the universe blow your mind in response. Like, watch that mirror each other. Just watch it happen.
Yes. We put little Batman suits and Superman suits on it, and we believe we are. And then we get humanized. And just all of that stripped away from us. And, well, we allow it to happen. So name it, claim it, make it so. Absolutely, Lonnie. And I love dress up parties. They are just such a hoot. And I will go as just a wild character. And actually, was it one of Jack Canfield's books or seminars that he spoke? There was a go as who you want to be person. And it was, people went along with Monopoly money, and it was just like, I'm a multimillionaire.
We're not going to make fun of Canadian money on this program. Come on, we're trying to be polite here. No, let's not do that now. So,
well, Australian dollar, well, that hurts. It really hurts because everything online is US dollars. So, we'll just times that by 2. Cha-ching. Yeah. So funny story, but it's a beautiful trip if you just setting goals. For me is about setting them and just letting them go and just because as soon as you start angsting over it, it's all that negative energy against it. You're pushing it away. It's all the resistance.
Takes it back. Yep. You put it out there, but the minute you start freaking out, like it's just like you polarize it right back to you.
Yeah.
And then it shrinks and contracts into like, and one thing about Las Vegas I love, and among many things, they say this truism, it never fails. So you cannot bet with scared money.
Yes.
And that is so profoundly true. And I've seen the people out there, there's always something about the person at the table, and there's actual energetics around it. When someone's coming to a table, especially a craps table, if it's suddenly going to be a hot table or if you need to get out of Dodge immediately. And there's always the demographic of a guy. The minute he shows up, take your money and run, because he is going to be dice death. This is usually a middle-aged guy, and you can tell like a lot of life is sitting on him,
Yeah.
And he has this look in his eye, like, I need to hit a big number here. Like, I need to get on a roll. Like, I need to make some money here. This trip is costing me way too much, and he needs to win. And he's going to lose his mind if he doesn't. And he will scream and curse and throw a fit if he doesn't win. Get out of there. The minute that guy has the dice, guarantee you, it is not a game of chance. You are finished. The whole table is finished. I've seen it over and over again.
Yeah. I'm listening to your story, but I'm still blown away by that story you just told about Drew Barrymore. And
Me too.
I'm so excited for you. This is amazing. I want to jump on your magic carpet ride for a bit.
I thought I was being punked. I'll be honest with you. When I was down visiting some family in Florida, and I got this email from the Drew Barrymore show, I'm like, okay, yeah. So somebody spoofed an email address. It's either a scammer or it's like some friend having fun with me or some not friend who's really having fun with me. But whoever it is. And I'm like CBS, Viacom, and I'm doing the whole thing. It's actually legit. And they did a whole segment on it. It was amazing. So it's so there. Like, you're watching out there. This universe is your playground. Never forget that. And you have the clay and the markers and all the toys. Like, go out and play. Just do it.
Yes. Use this thing and start writing, not on a digital notepad, physically write it down. And I wrote a word down again because you said scared life.
Yeah.
people approach the money table with a scared life. People are approaching life with a scared life. They've got to stop it.
Yeah. They
It's,
are.
you're the only boogeyman in the story.
They are. It actually aired back in April, but I posted on LinkedIn a few months back. I'll find the post and I'll tag both units
Please
so you
do.
can
Yeah.
check
Love
it
to
out.
see it.
I put the clip online. It was wild. And
Oh,
used to deal blackjack. That's awesome. Yeah. Sometimes the dealers fire, and yeah, you just got to get out of there. You just got to leave. You just got to run. Like, you know that table is death. Just get out and go. You just know.
I'm glad you understood what BJ meant, because
Absolutely. Like I said, trying to keep this PG, but mostly because I have a dignified guest on. If I have some other people who are coming on later in the summer, we were going to take that comment in different directions. But because I have the utmost respect for you, we'll talk about dealing cards.
No worries. Oh gosh, this has been so fun.
Been awesome.
So
Lisa, I can't thank you enough. Truly.
yeah. Honestly, it's. I wish I was in my office, because these are on my feet, and I've got Mickey and Minnie up on my my bookshelf, and Mickey looks over me every day. When I was 45, I got to go to Anaheim. It was a lifelong dream. If we're going to end the show, I'm going to end on this story.
Yep, let's
do it.
It's
a beautiful, beautiful story. Watching the black and white Mickey Mouse cartoon show every afternoon was sort of like my little safe world. And I felt so safe there, and because Mickey was always just wonderful and happy and doing good things, and I had this dream that one day I was going to get to, there's that thing again, get to Disneyland.
Yeah.
And got there when I was 45. So we're just coming on 10 years ago now. And one of the first things I see walking in is Mickey and Minnie. They were quite a way down the pathway, but they were holding hands and they were skipping, just tootling along. And I just thought, oh, I've got to catch up to Mickey. But we were just doing other stuff for a while. And then I saw over on one of the buildings, Mickey was there with this big line of people, and people could take a selfie with him. Actually, I'll post the photo.
Please do.
Yeah. And I'm going to get emotional. When I got to Mickey, I just hugged him, and because Mickey's real.
Mm-hmm.
And I just said, and I was sobbing in an ugly cry. And I just said, I've been waiting all my life to hug you. Ooh, getting emotional.
Oh, right there. That's beautiful.
And he just started patting my back. And it was just so comforting. And it was just like, oh, that little inner child just got to hug the real thing. And it was just me and Mickey. There was no one else in the world. And it was just such a beautiful moment. And then, of course, we did the selfies, and he even looked it up through his big head. He even looked up at the camera after.
Of course he did.
So
amazing.
Yeah,
that's a heartwarming story. I love that. I'm so glad you got a chance to do that. I'm so glad you had that beautifully resonant moment.
Yes.
And it was just building toward it. And everybody out there is watching. Thank you so much for joining us. And we're wishing you your own Mickey moment. It's still there for you. I promise. Go get it.
Yeah.
And if you've not yet connected with Lisa Marree, do so stat. You will be better for it, as I certainly am. And
thank you.
Lisa Marree, you're the best.
An honor.
Can't thank you enough. Truly, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. This has been incredible.
Yes, and the same. Thank you so much. It's been fun. It's been emotional. It's been woo. It's been everything. So thank you so much for the opportunity, and thank you to all the people who were actually on and just being part of the moment as well.
Appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you, and come on down next week, and you are going to love our guest next week. We have the one, the only Claire Soul is coming on July 14th, noon Eastern time. So I don't know, 2 a.m. So get some coffee down there. Join us live. Friends, enjoy the evening. Enjoy the morning. Love you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.